Hello there. Welcome. My name is Alun Dambia Samba, Brand Ambassador for COK Sodality Cooperative Credit Union. And welcome to another one in our podcast where we talk about COK Sodality. We talk about what we're doing here. We talk about people who are involved in COK. We've done members, we've done board former board members, we've done former general manager, we've done staff members, and today I am very pleased to have with me the current CEO of COK Sodality Cooperative Credit Union, Mr. Deryke Smith. Welcome, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for coming to join me here. I'm very glad that you found the time this morning because I know how things are. But, give me a little half hour. We might even go a little longer. To talk about, you are sitting in the hot seat at COK at the moment. And you've been doing this now for over 2 years.
Yes.
For 2 years. So let me ask you, Deryke, how long have you been a member of COK?
I've been a member of COK over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Why started with COK in terms of joining COK? And you're not even going to remember. I did a master's. My master's thesis was on cooperativism, and in particular COK.
Really?
And the evolution of cooperativism in Jamaica.
Yes.
From its founding days, from North Street to what it is today.
Wow.
At that point in time when I wrote the thesis. And at that point, you actually met with me. But you don't remember that. That was so many years ago.
30 years ago, Lord. I think I remember, Yes. A lot of persons have studied COK. We've talked to so many people who wanted to talk about the cooperative movement, credit unions in particular.
Cooperatives, in terms of COK coming onto the marketplace that many years ago. 56 years ago?
56 years ago.
The whole credit climate in Jamaica in terms of banking relationships was a lot different then. People with limited means couldn't have access to basic credit on the island. That was not for them. And so therefore, COK in its pioneering work in terms of bringing credit to at that time, the city of Kingston and its its outlying areas was visionary. We changed the lives of several generations and still changing the lives of generations of Jamaicans. That's why we are the largest member-based financial institution in the Caribbean.
Yes. And it didn't just happen.
No.
And COK has grown organically. It's not that we have grown because we've amalgamated with many credit unions. In my time at COK, we've had transfer of engagements of only 2 credit unions that I know about. One was, you probably don't even know there was such a thing called Premix, Jamaica Premix.
Yes.
And then the second one was when we had Sodality Credit Union transfer its engagement to us.
I think they had some small little credit unions like Mazuka. Anybody remember Mazuka? Mazuka had a credit union.
Yeah.
Mazuka got transferred into COK.
Into COK, okay.
Those small things rolled up into COK because they were able now. A small credit union couldn't offer the range of services what COK have. COK have services covering every age range, right? From your starting in terms of our cares and shields, going right up into...
Shields is the product that we have for teenagers, for children in high school before they become adults. Yes.
And even going into the products in terms of the investment products, in terms of partner plan, golden harvest, golden egg, insurance products, FIP. We can't talk enough about FIP because FIP has transformed. I don't know one single product what COK has done, and the credit union movement in general has done, that has been so transformative as
the FIP. Yes, we've other persons who have spoken, we've talked about the FIP, but we will come back to dealing with the products. I want to talk about you and COK. So you joined COK about 30 years ago. Before you joined the staff, you came on staff at COK when?
And in 2016, I think September 2016. And before, and 5 years before that, I had joined the board of COK.
Yes.
And I rose to the level of assistant treasurer of the organization. And I think in May 2016, because of work-related pressures, I resigned the board appointment because I had to pay attention elsewhere.
Yes.
And then at that point in time, and between, I think, May 2016 and September 2016, that's when I joined the staff. You know what I mean? At that point, they had a vacancy, I applied, and I was accepted.
So you came into COK as the CFO?
I came into the CFO.
And if you don't mind me saying this, and I've said it to you and I've said it to others, that when I came back home and COK approached me to come back to be CEO of COK, I made the decision to come back because you were here as CFO. Because by then I had known you and I had gotten to know you and know that you were a good CFO. And I wouldn't, you know, looking back on it now, I would say I wouldn't have agreed to come if you were not the CFO.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, and I'm happy that you came back.
Yes.
Because you came back at a pivotal moment, and I think you steadied the ship in terms of us. Each CEO had something
that they brought,
to bring to the organization.
Yes, yes.
And holding an even hand in turbulent times, especially going through COVID.
Yes.
And the digital transformations, what we actually did under your tenure.
I want to talk about that, you know. And ladies and gentlemen, we've mentioned it before, especially when I spoke with Mrs. Claudette Sabala Myrie of our IT department. We spoke about the journey that COK went through to where we are now with the universal system that we are using. And we made a major change for Y2K,
yes,
where we moved away from QSYS, which we had developed, to FIN 2000, which we had also developed. And then as technology improved, when I came back, I discovered that we needed to move with the time. And with your help, we prepared the request for proposal. You remember that?
And we sent it out to 18 firms?
Yes,
13 firms.
About 13 firms we sent it out to. And I must admit that I didn't know anything about what was required in a RFP, but you spearheaded that, the RFP for
COK.
For COK. And you want to tell us about a little bit about that, because that was a very exciting and new thing.
That was very exciting and new because, like everything else, products go through their life cycle. And the life cycle, we had that product over 20
years.
And 20 years it had come to the end of its life cycle. It was not supported. The only support we had for that product was one support person in Jamaica. So therefore, as a member-based institution, a responsible financial institution, we had to make the decision and go full investment in terms of transforming what we had under FIN 2000 to what we have now, universal. But you know, what I think the most challenging part of that whole transformation is the fact that we did it in the midst of COVID.
Yes, but for me, what was just phenomenal is that, except for the persons from whom we bought the system, we did not have to use any other consultants to do our changeover. All of it was done by the staff. And you were an important part of that because you led the staff going to Canada to meet with
Universal.
Twice.
Yes.
Yes. Tell me about that.
Yes. the first time we met, when we came down and we had our final pieces in terms of determining which software to go ahead, before we decided to actually sign on a dotted line, we actually took a trip to Canada to look at the software in operations at other credit unions and do that verification, what is so very necessary in terms of doing this whole transition process to a new core banking system. So after we were fully satisfied that this is a software that we were going to be using, we felt comfortable getting on board totally with Smart Solutions. And we had a signing ceremony and we launched that. Thereafter, we did the whole, we started the whole implementation cycle. Implementation cycle started with the transporting our existing database into our new database. And that is when we started learning and reflecting on ourselves that the old database had certain challenges in it, and transforming data from a old sort of system to a new sort of system took us some time to get around some of the challenges what we faced there. That being said, the second stage of it was training. We had to train the trainers because we realized that the only way we could in actual fact ensure that the system was taken up by the full complement of staff is that we had qualified trainers. So I led another team to Canada so they could learn the software from the actual professionals in Canada. So they sat down and we stayed there a week. We learned how to in actual fact implement and how to actual fact query all the different things that we needed to have known to come back. And lucky enough we did, because at the point of implementation, the consultants couldn't travel to Jamaica. We couldn't travel anymore. The whole place was on the COVID restrictions. We were by ourselves.
Yes. Before you get to that, and we can talk about how that occurred, we had to get the buy-in of the staff to this new system because this was completely new. And we set up, and this was, I talk about this because this was important, the buy-in of the staff. We set up what was called special SMEs, special subject matter experts.
Yes, right.
Subject matter experts, and I think we had about 32 subject.
The trainer exercise.
Yes.
So the trainers from Canada, the persons who went to Canada with me, came back and started led the training. So what we did, so if 8 of us went to Canada, what each of them had an area of expertise. They trained 10 staff across the whole organization on the specific areas of the software. And at that point, we were able to do the training of the entire, at the time, 240 staff members.
Yes.
In terms of using the system.
Yes.
And let us understand, it is when we talk about a core banking system, we're talking from the time that you actually put in a deposit into the system, right out to us taking financial statements from the system for our regulators. So it is a comprehensive system.
And it prevented us, as Ms. Habala-Mary said, you didn't have to do any more overtime to get things done, because as the day done, the system run.
And that was a challenge what we had here.
Yes.
Because in terms of the tellers balancing in the afternoons, people don't see the back offices of a credit union, but the tellers had to stay here late trying to balance under the old system. And until the tellers balance is not until the end of the day could run. So it actually one fed into the other, fed into other. MIS staff sometimes left here at 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
Before Universal. And what's happening now?
Well, at 4:30, I've had press to find them.
Well, that is good. So we started to talk about the challenge of doing the crossover during COVID. And I recall we had set the time, and we worked back from the time to make sure that we could meet that deadline, which was the Independence Weekend.
Yes, Independence Weekend.
Yes.
And that was in terms of because we needed a long stretch between closure. So I think Independence, we had the Friday off, so we closed early on a Thursday. So we started the implementation on the Wednesday, right? And so from the Wednesday night, in terms, we had just hours and how the thing worked for us to get the data.
Because you still had to do your end of month.
End of month,
yes.
End of everything, cut off period. And then we had to transfer the information from the old system into a readable file for the new system. And that took 6 hours. 6 or 8 hours.
Just to do the transfer.
Just to do the transfer.
Yes.
All right, 6 or 8 hours. And that is after months of practicing. We got it down we started at 1 month and we got it right down to 6 or 8 hours to the transfer. Once that transfer happened, the persons in Canada needed 1 day to actually do the upload of the information and the population information. So therefore, it was like a relay race, right? We started with COK, technical teams upstairs, getting the data up. Then it was sent off to Canada. Canada had to send it down back to us now, and us be getting on because we had to do the verification.
Yes.
Right? Ensure that the balances were correct, ensure that the things were coming over. And it's not until, we had lots of challenges, and I know I had to call you out at one particular point in terms of the challenges, so everybody could get on board. For us, we won't go into that one.
No, I think I want to, because you talk about calling me out. We utilized because we're connected with the credit union overall, particularly in relation to our use of the Access Plus. And we needed to be able to link in with that system. Yes, we had to put down our foot there.